Today we're going to talk about the coronavirus, the crazy meltdown going on out there, and the continuing impacts to our life, to the economy, and to the world. All right, thank you, Zach Gwynn. I want to thank Zach Gwynn, my producer here at Bigger Pockets. Hopefully our quality will be better today than it's been the last several weeks. We've had some real quality problems. You guys have probably seen the green line across the bottom of the screen. We have nothing against green here, but we don't like the green line. We like blue, Bigger Pockets blue. So, hey, again, I'm Paul Moore, and I would love to hear from you. So, hey, Jay Smith. Hey, Santi, how are you doing? All right, let me know where you're at, where you're from. Hey, Anthony Duckberry from, oh yeah, you're here before. So where are y'all from? And tell me briefly, what are you doing to ride out this crisis? Did you all hear? Did you all see the Wall Street Journal article the other day where the little kid said, Mommy, I love the coronavirus because I get to spend more time with you. One thing I want to leave you with today before the end is that we need to remember we've got friends, family, kids. A lot of us are type A driven people, like my good friend Nate Shields in Madison, Wisconsin. Hello, Nate. And I know that we would love to be spending more time with our families. Well, this is an opportunity to do what we always said we wanted to do and spend more time with our family. We might not be with our friends in person, but remember, physical distancing is not the same as personal distancing. You can still connect with friends. I've been connecting with friends by phone and even on my front porch. So hopefully you can do the same. Hey, Sterling from Irvine. Hey, Kevin Cruz. Good that you're maintaining optimism and time with family. Hey, Daniel from Richmond, Virginia. There's a lot of you on here. Hey, Mark from South Korea. Santi from, where are you from, Santi? Okay. Peter Alfonso from Tampa. T. Woods from Kenosha, Wisconsin. So big shout out to all of you. Someone's taken ginger, turmeric, and honey tea. Good. That's great. So my doctor, I have an alternative doctor, and a lot of you California people, this is like not even alternative, but he was telling me yesterday that ozone and vitamin C therapy dramatically reduce the effects of any virus. And so you might want to consider ozone and vitamin C. Daniel just accepted an offer today. That's great. Anthony Duckberry said he's sharing the word of God. Okay, Anthony, thumbs up to you, my friend. Saqib says, can you use home warranty for repairs? Saqib, give me a little more information on that, and I'll try to answer your question. So here's what we're going to do, folks. Hey, Helen from Mobile. Saro from Glendale. Hey, Hong from New Jersey. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This is going to be a conversation. I guess you probably guessed this by now if you've watched my other shows. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what I don't know. And I don't even know what I don't know that I don't know. So I think every one of us can say in the last few weeks, the world has changed. I mean, remember when they canceled the NBA basketball season? That seemed like an outrageous move. Like, what? And now that seems pretty normal. And so, Patty, thank you for the recipe over there on the Facebook side. So I got Facebook going live around the world, YouTube going live around the world. Hey, Erica from Salt Lake City. Hey, Rajveer from Fresno. So my question, hey, Joe from Rockford, my question is, would you guys be willing today to share ideas? Because I don't have all the answers. Now, Nate Shields might have all the answers. Nate Shields is Dude Real Estate, and he's on the YouTube side, and he is going to be answering at least half the questions here today. No pressure, Nate Shields. And but the situation is here. There's no way. There's hundreds of you inputting questions, especially on the YouTube side. There's no way I can keep up. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to tell you that, things are going to change. A week from now, we're going to know so much more than we know right now. And so let's just do the very best we can. So it's Lupita Reyes. Hey, Lupita. By the way, if this is a beneficial show, would you just give us a thumbs up, a like, or share? That'll tell Facebook and YouTube that we're doing something right here at Bigger Pockets, and it'll make sure I don't get fired. So, okay, Saqib Khan says, I bought a home warranty which covers plumbing problems in my appliances, but I'm wondering if they keep records like insurance companies. So my warranty expires, will they be looking at the record of getting things fixed, so I might not get the home warranty again? Saqib, that is a great question. I don't know the answer. Does anybody else know? Nate Shields over there on the YouTube side, that's a Facebook question. Do you know the answer to that? Because I don't. I'm going to guess that they look at very, very big groups, very big numbers, and they're probably going to give you the warranty again. I don't think they'll look at the records like insurance companies do. That's my opinion. Don't know. Hey, Fazil from Santa Clara Bay Area just extended the lockdown all the way to May 1st. So your lockdown is for a little bit longer. Yeah, I believe it. I'm not surprised. Andy M says the government will print money to the moon and back to save the economy and real estate. Okay, here's my opinion, folks. One possible outcome of this mess is a V-shaped curve. And that's what we saw in Hong Kong during the SARS virus. We saw a big crash down, and then it hit bottom hard. It didn't drag along the bottom, and then it went back up to much higher than it had been before. And so here's why I think it could be a V-shaped curve. I say could be because we've got about, 450 House of Representatives people, 33 senators, and one president all wanting to be reelected. And they've got effectively unlimited ability to print money, and they're pumping money into the system at 10 times the normal rate right now. And the feds are helping, obviously, by the lowest interest rates, I think, since 1871, or maybe in history. And so I really do believe that it's possible that in a couple months we could hit that bottom and bounce back. I do not think it'll be a couple weeks. I really appreciate our optimistic people out there who think it's going to be sometime in April. I just don't necessarily believe it will. But again, I don't know what I don't know. Saqib from Southern Maryland. Okay, hey, Henry Martinez from New Jersey. Okay, so somebody said they're still making, Brian says that we're still making offers here in New Jersey. My company, so just to show you the optimism that we have, we're investing almost $6 million, actually probably over $6 million in assets this week. And so Rajveer says, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, my deal for 4 units rental properties under process. Should I move on it or wait? Rajveer, are you buying or selling? I assume you're buying. I don't know if the prices are where they're going to be. Let's be honest, folks. Maybe the prices are going to drop dramatically. I mean, look at Florida. Look at Florida in 2000, from 2007 to 2010, prices dropped. Like Jacksonville, for example, I checked, 55% drop. And so it's possible that, we might have huge drops ahead. And that's just Florida. And Marriott, now I know this is just a hotel chain. It's not everybody. But Marriott's CEO said this is the worst thing they've seen in 92 years in business. They've been through the big Great Recession, the Great Depression. They opened in 1928, if I'm not mistaken. And they said this is the worst thing. This is far worse than 9/11 plus 2009 combined. So if that's true, and I hope it's not, then there may be some buying opportunities around the corner. And I'm not smiling and saying that's great news, because it's terrible news for a lot of people, but it could be good news for you if you can hold on and be patient. Curtis Bennett. Hey, Curtis from Indiana. Good to see you on here again. The market is due for a correction, so hopefully we'll see it taper towards something more realistic. Yeah, if you've been watching my articles for the last 2 years on Bigger Pockets, I've been saying that as well. Robert Gonzalez says, or Saqib says, tenants, okay, just hang on. Lance, okay, thank you. Robert says, has anyone faced, hey, Robert Gonzalez, Has anyone faced the growing pressure that many tenants are placing on landlords to force them to go rent-free? While I maintain good relationships and good communication with all my people, I want to know what you're seeing. What is your advice to avoid being hit very hard as a landlord? So you guys, come on, jump in. Facebook, you can answer Robert directly. If you're on the YouTube side, you can try to answer Robert, and I will try to relay that over to the Facebook side. Hey, Sterling Chang. I am currently under contract to close second week of April, a duplex. Not the best time, but still excited about it. I told my agent just to put everything on hold for now. Would love to hear everyone's feedback on what they would do. Well, I already shared what I would do. I think it would be honoring and right to try to do everything in your power to honor your word. My son's got 2 deals under contract. One's a very large deal, and he's actually going to go through with it on the exact timetable at the exact price without retrading because he's a man of honor. And I don't think it's dishonorable, given this whole new situation, to try to change the terms or maybe the price or maybe back out. I think everybody would understand that. But I would say if you can at all possibly keep your word, I think you will be blessed in the long term for keeping your word. That's my answer to that. I'm doing everything that I can to keep every commitment I have. But of course, if a bank says we're not going to finance you at all anymore, you may have to make a change of plans. Richard says, I want to buy a mobile home park. Richard, thumbs up, man. Me too. Hanson says it's all location-based. Even with Corona, some communities will fare better than others. Rural towns, smaller communities appear to be better, I believe. Yeah, if you look at the maps, you'll see there's a distinct difference between rural towns and big cities. New York, of course, still very difficult. My question in an article that I just penned is, what will happen to tenants if they have to pay rent? And what will happen to landlords if they don't? What do you guys think? David Long says, Sterling, you should have reserves to weather the storm, so push through and close. It's a long-term hold, not a get-rich scheme. I agree, David Long. I'm just concerned that maybe Sterling overpaid in the new world. Okay? Because apartments, we all know, were highly overpriced recently, as we've been talking about it. Sterling says this was not going to be a short-term hold, but a long-term hold. Kevin Cruz says, hey, Nate Shields, are you able to answer some of the questions on the YouTube side? That'd be amazing. Kevin Cruz says, we have 60 properties under management. Our tenants are still required to pay. However, we sent an email saying we understand what's going on, and they requested transparency. Okay, so that's one thing I would say, radical transparency. A lot of people wanted reports quarterly or even semi-annually before. A lot of investors now say they want monthly. I'm thinking they want weekly. I mean, the way things are changing, folks, consider that. Consider that people might want weekly updates. That might include tenants. That might include investors, communication with landlords, property managers, etc. Eduardo J. Davia, thank you for joining, Eduardo. Advice for new real estate investors trying to find your first deal. Richard, reach out to me personally about the mobile home park. I might know one that would be available for you in North Carolina. Eduardo, my advice is to try to do a lease option sandwich or wholesale lease option. You can Google wholesale lease option, but our own Bigger Pockets own Joe McCall is an expert in lease option wholesaling, and I highly recommend you check out Joe McCall. I think he's in the St. Louis area. You can easily find him online. If you Google wholesaling lease options, he'll come up, and you should find him on Bigger Pockets, like I said. Howard says, New York City, 1 week stay at home in the books. Thank God my tenant is a teacher. Okay. Matt says, what class of properties will be best in a recession? If you're going outside of real estate, potentially litigation finance, Ian Ippolito, who's very involved here in the real estate community. Ian Ippolito says that litigation financing and drug financing for drugs should do really well, and financing for music. That's interesting. As far as classes of assets that do well in a recession for real estate, which is, I assume, what you're asking, Matt. CrowdStreet, in an interview on Friday, said the only two assets that are doing well right now are self-storage and mobile home parks, and that's what I believe as well. However, they did mention data centers as well. Now, you may think, well, that's all too big for me. I don't know how to get into commercial real estate. Well, you can make a fractional investment through a crowdfunding website. You can invest as little as $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 through one of these crowdfunding sites. I don't recommend one in particular, but I can tell you a bunch of their names. You can look them up yourself. Fatima, hello, Fatimo. Any recommendation for self-storage mentor in Los Angeles? Yes, Scott Myers, Meyers. Google Scott Myers, and that's what he will be the perfect mentor for you. He's one of my mentors as well in self-storage. Shane Waller says, I only have a couple of rentals. If I don't break from banks on mortgage, I can't extend tenants a break. My heart would like to, but my budget won't allow it. Shane, I totally understand. Fannie and Freddie, by the way, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae just announced forbearance on their loans of 90 days, which means I think you don't have to pay the loans for 90 days, at least commercial. I don't know about residential. I'm guessing they'll be the same. Check into that. In fact, if somebody can check into that right now, that would be great if you can tell the group. Nate Shields, are you there? Can you help? Maybe you can look that up. Ken Lagana says, we're struggling with reaching out to our tenants to check in as this may give them an out of paying rent. Ken, I don't know, man. I think that maybe it would be better just to reach out, connect with them. I know it's so much easier just to not say anything. I think they're going to appreciate if you reach out. Tell them that you are not some big menacing corporation, but you're just like them. You've got I don't know your situation, Ken, but you've got a family. You've got bills to pay yourself, and you're just like them, and you just have to pay your bills. So try to get them to work with you. SW Winder, hello SW. I was refinancing 3 properties to lower payments. They want me to put $35,000 down. Should I cancel and hold the money and help my tenants? That is a very, very kind thing to say. You want to help your tenants instead of putting more money in your pocket. And you could also, if you continue the refi, you can also possibly have more cash to help your tenants as well. So I don't know how much you're getting out, but you're saying that you're refinancing if I'm reading your email right. So maybe you can clarify that. Does anybody know any self-storage in Wisconsin? I actually might, Jay. You can reach out to me. I doubt it, but it's possible. Sharon Brown says, would this affect the equity partners? Sharon, I don't know the context of your question. So could you restate your entire question? Because I have a couple hundred questions here on the YouTube side, it looks like, and I must have missed your context. Howard Hanna, hey Howard, says divorces, bankruptcy, opportunity, baby boom in 2021. They say there's 4 situations that make it best to buy businesses and real estate. I think I'll remember 3. They're the 4 Ds. They're death, divorce, dislocation, and downsizing. That's actually 4 Ds that help self-storage, but it helps a lot of other people as well. And so that is something to consider, that we might unfortunately and tragically be seeing all of those. So I hope not, but it could happen. Calvin Darwin says, I have 3 properties in Las Vegas from 2005. What do you think about the market in Vegas the next couple of years? Calvin, all I can tell you is it is a tourist destination. It's got a lot of travelers, and the travel industry, which makes up 10.9% of the U.S. economy, is way down, and way down. And I can tell you that the last crash in Vegas brought huge housing downturn, as you know, because you experienced it if you were there in 2005. I think it's likely that will be in the same situation here. That's my guess, as much as I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, my friends. Hanson says, I have 4 tenants. I haven't reached out to them and haven't heard from them. You should probably do that. Yeah, Hanson, I would. I think you should try to connect with them personally. If you can't meet them face to face, maybe meet them in the courtyard or maybe meet them on a Skype call or Zoom, but try to connect. Try to remind them you're a real person, even if you have 100 units or even if you have 1,000 units, even if you're Grant Cardone, you're a real person. You've got your own bills to pay. You've got everything, you've got to make rent yourself, pay your mortgage, pay your taxes, etc. We're all in this together. And I am so glad to be part of a community here at Bigger Pockets that is all in it together, and we're all helping each other. And I'm so glad, I'm so amazed that I get to be here and do this with all of you. So thank you. Hagen Cito 87. Hey, Hagen Cito. I know I said that wrong. Do you recommend going out and getting a HELOC, which is obviously a home equity line of credit? My friends, that's the one thing I would recommend almost over anything, and that would be go get a HELOC, because it gives you the best of both worlds. It costs a little bit of time and money, but you're going to have cash available, but you don't have to pay interest on it because it's available until you need it, but you don't have to use it until you need it. And right now, interest rates, we all know, are at the very, very lowest level imaginable. I can do nothing better than in this next hour than say, honor your commitments, love your neighbor, and get a HELOC, okay? All right, Premier Entrepreneur says, heard estimates today on the news site that home sales will drop to 35%. I'm not sure what that, 35% of normal, lowest in 30 years. Sounds like this will drive prices down. I've got to believe that. So start building capital to buy in this economic recession that's coming up. Yes, single family as well as multifamily. Absolutely. Guys, Grant Cardone, one of the, somebody everybody on this podcast knows, he just laid off, was it 28 people or 45 people like in the last few days? So, I mean, he's one of us. I mean, he may not be exactly one of us, but he's a multifamily guy, and he's laid off, I think it was a third of his staff. That should tell you something. And I'm not sure that's exactly what the numbers are, but something like that. Connie Green. Hey, Connie again. Any recommendation for mobile home park or self-storage mentoring in Orlando, Florida? Absolutely. Scott Myers. Scott Myers is selfstorageinvesting.com. Mobile home park investing. Yeah, I would go and find, you might want to Google Frank and Dave. Frank and Dave, they're the only people I know that do mobile home park mentoring. Let me think. There may be one other one that does mobile home park training you can find online. And if anybody knows what that is, please just pop it in the box there. But there's one other one that does mobile home park training. But Frank and Dave, just Google that. I think Scott Myers is selfstorageinvesting.com. He's one of my mentors. Grace X says, I'm in the middle of flipping an ARV. That means after repair value, folks, of $320,000 house in Indiana, but need one more month to finish it. What's my best option here? I'm worried that not too many people would check houses. Grace, can you try to sell it now? I mean, I know you probably got a lot of work left to do, and I know you want to stage it, and I know you want to get professional photography, but you might want to offer some kind of a deal if somebody comes in early. I don't have any other answers for you. I wish I did. But if anybody else has an answer, we'd love to hear it. Trevor says, what concerns should I have if I'm under contract on a deal? Are you buying or selling? I assume you're buying. My concerns would be that the value drops 20 or 30% after you close. Sorry to be so blunt. Curtis Bennett says, what a great conversation. Thanks, Curtis. I still don't see that bear and salmon picture behind you. We need to make that a reality. Yeah, so the bear at the waterfall, folks, I was talking about a grizzly bear at the waterfall, and you, with all that's coming in here, I won't explain it now. Thank you. Appreciate it, Curtis. I love to make that a reality. My chiropractor has one on his wall. Surprised me. Why does a chiropractor care about grizzly bear and salmon? Trevor Scheider says, what concerns? Okay, please clarify that, Trevor. Thomas White. Hey, Thomas, I have a 34-lot mobile home park in Blytheville, Arkansas, and I live in Canada. If someone wants to buy it, I'm ready to sell it. Okay, so you all can connect with Thomas White if you want to buy a 34-lot mobile home in Arkansas. He lives in Canada. Sterling Chang says, are the banks still lending or is it on hold? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the SBA, Small Business Administration, of course, they are lending full force. And I heard some Freddie Mac people on a webinar just yesterday confirming that, okay? And that was a high up at Freddie Mac. Rich Vogel says, Thomas, email me numbers. And you can, Thomas, you can see that. That's great. March M. Chapman says, I'm actually excited to be in a position where I can purchase post-recession. I was unable to back in 2008 and I missed all the deals. Guys, we got to face the reality here. There's a silver lining to every dark cloud. And we as America, as the world right now, are in the darkest cloud that I can remember, but that is a silver lining. I mean, it's just a fact, and it's not something that I'm happy. I'm not happy to happen this way, but it is what it is. As Gandalf told Frodo, nobody wants such times as these. But Caitlin, what's the rest of it? Nobody wants such times as these, but we have to do the best we can with the time we're given. Calvin says, do you think it's a good idea to buy an RV and live in it to save $970 rent for a one-bedroom apartment? By chance, I never lived in an RV before. Yeah, Calvin, if you can do that, I would do it. Okay, Daryl Hardy says, if you suspend your mortgage for 90 days, we'll be doing a cash out or rate and term refi be messed up. I think it could be, unless you're given permission by the bank to suspend it without penalty. Daryl, get that in writing, okay? Paul O'Connor says, with a moratorium on paying your mortgage and tenants paying their rents, how does that work? Some states are 60 days behind right now. We don't know. I don't think I know enough to answer that question. And so if anybody else wants to answer Paul O'Connor, great question over on the Facebook side. Steve Zhao says, I closed on a loan last Tuesday. By the way, if you want to sell a mobile home park, our own Brandon Turner is buying mobile home parks, Thomas, as well. But I think he's buying 100 plus lots. Steve Zhao says, I closed on a loan last Tuesday, funded to escrow Wednesday, and dispersed on Thursday, 2 hours after the lender wanted to back out. The lender is Pier Street. So you're saying that they wanted to back out 2 hours after they gave you the money for the loan? Steve, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Of course, it's Pier Street, so it's not a Freddie Fannie program. It's not an agency debt. I'm so sorry that happened to you. So did you get to keep the cash, or what did they do? I'd like to hear the rest of the story. Wendy is answering Calvin Dar. Thank you. Oh, great. Good job, Wendy. Thank you for answering that question. Folks, if you have answers for each other, please do it. I can only get to maybe a third of the questions, and I also don't have answers for everything. I know that's surprising. My wife knows that. Caitlin knows that. Adam Broussard says, here in NOLA, we are having a tough time doing appraisals due to not being able to enter people's homes. What can people do for appraisals during times like this? Virtual tours. That's what you're going to want to do. If you can get somebody to help you with a virtual tour from inside the house, that's what realtors are doing right now a lot. So again, Wendy says, check out these RVing channels. That's pretty cool. Good answer. And by the way, folks, if you can downsize to an RV or a mobile home, I think it would be a great time to do that. Sandra says, hey, Sandra, welcome. Do you think this is a great time to invest in mobile homes? That's a really hard question because I really don't believe much in investing in mobile homes. I bought 4 mobile homes over the years. I rehabbed them, and 3 of the 4 were disasters. And the 4th one, my dear mother lived in, and it went okay because I didn't charge her rent and she didn't trash it. All the other 3 got trashed repeatedly, and it was very hard. Now there is a lady there's a program called Mobile Home Millions. and it's thousands of dollars to get the whole program, I've heard. But she's got a program to flip mobile homes. Now, if you're not going to buy and hold, it might be okay. If you're going to flip, that might be okay. If you're going to buy and hold, I'm just going to say beware. And every single mobile home park investor, not just me, believes that. So be careful with mobile homes. Joel J. Hey, Joel. Welcome. Would it be a good time to buy a principal property regardless of the interest rate? I'm assuming if house prices drop, interest rates will go up. I don't think the interest rates will go up anytime soon, Joel. In fact, before the recession, they were already projected for the next 9 or 10 years to stay low. Folks, we're so close to learning more. I mean, we're going to know so much more at the end of April than we know now. I mean, let's look at February to March. I mean, everything's changed. It feels like February was like 10 years ago now. You're welcome, Sandra. But, I mean, you're going to know so much more in a month. Maybe hold off. Maybe wait a month. I mean, I'm investing. My company's investing $6 million in some properties this week. But it's because we know what we're getting into. And the people we're investing with are actually holding some of that cash for opportunistic deals that are going to hit in May, June, July, August. I am 99% sure that is going to be a fact, that there's going to be deals that you have never seen in your lifetime by the summer and certainly by the fall, even if things get fixed sooner than we thought. Folks, we're hoping and praying for high humidity, high heat around the world, but especially in the U.S., since that's where many of us are, and for a vaccine for this coronavirus. So Mike Rubin says, please see my questions above. Mike, you said, are banks lowering leverage they'll give on a refi due to future recession? By the way, thank you for joining us, Mike. They're going to lower the LTV. I can tell you as sure as I'm sitting here. How do you figure things will lower 20 to 30%? Do you think will apply to both single and multifamily? Yes and yes. I think they're going to drop the LTV down to something like 50%, down from 75. That's just my guess. Of course, I don't know. And I think that you should bet that it will apply to single and multifamily. I really hope that is helpful. Premier Entrepreneur says flipping mobile homes is very popular in the Southeast. If you purchase a used mobile home, many counties no longer allow used mobile homes to be brought in. Right, that's right. So folks, if you don't know, there's lots of opportunities to finance 20 or even 25-year-old mobile homes in good condition. You can finance them through Berkshire Hathaway, our good friend Warren Buffett's company, or all of our good friend and grandfather, I guess. Anyway, what am I saying? So anyway, it's a Berkshire Hathaway company called 21st Mortgage, and you can get a financing through them. Another friend of mine, Daniel, who is on here, maybe he's not on here tonight, said there's other programs that are even better to finance mobile homes. You can definitely finance new ones. DNK Sirius, thank you for joining us. Best ways to finance a second property. You currently have a duplex. Cash out refi, friends with cash, friends with IRA money, and small local banks. Go to a credit union or a bank. They're much, much more likely to be flexible. Do it soon. Try to get that all lined up before and commitments in place before things get worse out there. And hopefully they'll keep their promises, unlike Pier Street apparently did to this gentleman earlier. So Jim M., when will prices drop? Jim, I'm thinking they're going to start now because it's all based on emotion. I mean, it's, of course, there's real facts underlying these emotions, but Jim, let's be honest, the emotions are running high. Lots of people have lots of equity. I mean, Adrian right above you is in San Diego, and she's watching prices drop rapidly already. Think about all the equity in San Diego, LA, Florida. People have 50, 60, 80% equity. And they would probably rather sell right now for a 20% discount than risk an 80% discount later. Now, do I think it'll be 80%? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying People fear the worst. Now, if you haven't got it yet, he's never contacted me and thanked me once. But Howard Marks, the head of Oak Tree Investments, one of the top 2 or 3 hedge funds in history, wrote a book called The Most Important Thing. And you don't need that book. Okay, I'm kidding. You do need that book. But the book I want you to buy today, before we're done here, is called Mastering the Market Cycle, Getting the Odds in Your Favor. You need to read Mastering the Market Cycle. Todd Werner, you're right. It's trending fear, and that's what the book's about. Fear, and you all know the saying from our buddy Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Right now, we are heading into a time of incredible fear. And so it's not time to be greedy, but it is time to be wise. You know, when I say greedy, of course, Buffett doesn't mean greedy in a bad way. He would never do that, would he? All right, Gautam, when do you think the recession will hit? Will it be worse than 2008? Gautam, I'm sorry to tell you that, so the underlying fundamentals in 2008 were much, much worse, okay? But the fear in 2020 is much, much worse. And fear will cause more damage to an economy than fundamentals. I think we all have seen that. Think through it. Because good fundamentals with fear will mean lower prices. Bad fundamentals with fear will mean lower prices. Any way you look at it, fear, trending fear, Todd Werner said it. Thanks, Todd. Stick to what you know, he says. That is so true. Stick to what you know. And if you don't know something, my friends, is there a better time to learn it? You're sitting at home anyway. I hope none of you have the TV on in the background. Now, I'm not going to lecture you about the evils of watching TV. I'd be kidding if I did, by the way. But I really seriously think this is the best time to get educated. Buy the Howard Marks book. Pre-order the new book from Brian Burke. Brian Burke, B-U-R-K-E, from Praxis Capital in California, just put out a book. They announced it today. You can pre-order it for like some ridiculous price. I think it's $10. Come on Bigger Pockets. And it's called The Hands-On Investor, and the on is scratched out. It's Hands-Off Investor. Okay? Great book. You can also get Amanda Hahn's book, new book on tax strategies, published by Bigger Pockets. You can also get Brandon Turner's wonderful books on Bigger Pockets. Brandon also has some amazing videos as well. Curtis Bennett says, we flip full-time with future plans for buy and hold. As of now, we got a property I'm working on with a projected finish date around late June. As far as a drop, now we're covered for a while with work instead of sales. I believe things should be shaping up by the time we're ready to list it. The new property is showing up on the market for cheap around that time. Okay, cool. Thank you, Curtis, for sharing that. Curtis is in Indiana, I think. Numbers are numbers, adjust for the times. Trust the numbers you're seeing. They will still be deals despite, and people still need housing. I will say that. And I said that in my book. I've got a book called The Perfect Investment. And I talk about people always need housing. Now, Brian Burke, our friend again, who wrote the new book for the Bigger Pockets, said there are times when people move in together. I mean, like maybe, a bunch of friends move in together in the same house when they wanted their own house before in good times, or they move back into their parents' basement or their friend's basement or whatever. So there are times when people combine forces and the need for housing shrinks. And that could be one of those times after this goes from panic to regular recession, which I think is going to happen. I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. What is your opinion about renting to Section 8 than a regular renter? GM Chukte, I would say usually I don't like renting to Section 8 as much. I've had a couple Section 8 nightmares that I had managed. I lost a $63,000 mobile home to a Section 8 renter who moved in without my knowledge because it was subleased from my tenant that I faithfully got rents from for 8 years, who trashed it in a matter of weeks, actually a few months, never paid the rent, and literally I had to tow the mobile home away and sell the lot for $15,000. It's a true story. Happened right here in Virginia. Come on and see it if you want. So where was I going with that? Caitlin, where was I going with that? Section 8. So I would say now, with the government stepping in to rescue people, now would be probably a better time to work with Section 8 tenants than, I don't know about than ever before, but I would consider it. Fast Life, Sean Carter says, I currently read that the government is planning to halt mortgages for an entire year. What? If this is true, do you think it would be a smart time to attempt applying for a loan? Well, again, I would apply for all the refinances you can right now. I can't imagine that the government would want to do that, but I can imagine some CMBS lenders would do it and some private banks would do it for sure. Johnny says, would you recommend taking a cash out refi from my rental property before the guidelines change? Absolutely. Get it tomorrow. And guys, I know Dave Ramsey, if he was here, he would shame me, but I believe in cash out refis. I believe in getting refi proceeds together, and I think you should consider it. Todd Werner says, you get what you pay for. All right, Darren Palmer says, looking to buy my third house, second two-family house. How can I make a bank want to refinance me if I don't have a real job? I rely on my rental income and my side job of being a rehabbing contractor. I think rehabbing will go okay through this nightmare. My rehabbing friend and I met yesterday. He gave me a year. I have a private mortgage with this rehabbing friend. He gave me a year's payments in one day. That was kind of nice. Don't worry, it's already in the bank, Mom. It's not here. Nobody's going to come rob me. Calvin Darwin says, my 4 rental properties have them for 15 years. And I never claim any depreciation. Can I do them all in one time to get as much as possible for my tax return? Yeah, Calvin, there's actually ways to do a cost segregation study and accelerate your depreciation and get it all at once. I don't know if you can do depreciation you missed in past years. That's a question for a CPA or a tax professional. I kind of think you might be able to. Johnny says, okay, see the truth. Hey, see the truth says Johnny's doing the same. Okay, aren't the mortgage rates higher now because they're so busy? Alice, I don't think so. Now, that's a good question, and that may be something somebody else wants to speak to. I don't think so. Calvin Darwin says, also, would thou recommend for me to get good tax accounting services? Yes. If you want to connect with me, I can recommend 2 or 3 CPAs. But our own Brandon, check some CPAs on Bigger Pockets, because Brandon Hall is one of the Bigger Pockets favorite CPAs. And you can check with him. Tell him Paul Moore sent you, or not. Tell him Bigger Pockets sent you. Henry Lang says, should I buy a $510,000 house worth $540,000 that rents for $4,000 a month? All right, it's a student rental room by room. Henry, I'm going to say something. I'm going to get in trouble here probably. I've got a lot of friends, or some friends, who do student rentals room by room. Look at what's going on right now. I mean, people might move back to their parents' house and do all their school online in the future. I mean, look, we've got Liberty University right here in my town has 110,000 students online already, and now they have like 18,000 students that are supposed to be on campus, and now they're going online as well. Is it possible that dorms and student housing is going to take a hit in the coming years? I gotta believe it is. I don't know. Big Boom 2020. Hey, Big Boom, have you adjusted any investments in REITs or real estate ETFs? I can tell you that CrowdStreet says the best REITs to watch out for right now are data centers. Is that a REIT? Are there REITs with data centers? I guess. And self-storage and mobile home parks. Matt Fox says 5 years of depreciation at once, I think in advance. Yes, Matt, I believe you can do even 15 years at once if you do a cost segregation study. Now, the safest cost segregation studies are quite expensive, possibly $12,000 to $15,000, the ones that are least likely to be challenged by the IRS. However, there are cost segregation studies you can do yourself from some websites where you take some risk that they'll be challenged, but I heard they're as little as $300 to $500. Hey, was I talking about now being a great time to get training? There are some great podcasts out there. Bigger Pockets has 3 podcasts, and there are lots and lots of webinars from Brandon Turner, Matt Faircloth, my good friend, who wrote a wonderful book called Raising Private Capital, How to Get Wealthy with Other People's Money. I made up that subtitle for Matt. I don't know what the real subtitle is. But anyway, I'd highly recommend that you get some books on audio, get some webinars, get some podcasts, hunker down with your family, turn off the TV and get educated. There's never been a better time to get educated and get your cash together, get your powder dry. I love it that you guys are answering each other. Thank you so much, Curtis Bennett. Hey, Anderson, in Canada, banks are lending 2% on a 3-year variable flex. Folks, I would usually say that a long-term strategy of having variable rate loans is a little risky. I just don't right now. I literally think that it's the lowest risk time, in my opinion, in recent history or maybe ever to get a floating interest loan. And I had somebody prove that to me the other day before the crash. So I guess it was like February before the whole world changed, right? Sandra Zamar says, what's the best niche in real estate to get into now? I would try wholesaling lease options. Check out Joe McCall on Bigger Pockets. I would try maybe flipping mobile homes. I've always talked about Airbnb and corporate rentals, but right now they just dried up, famously, horribly dried up. So I hate to say I don't have information on Airbnbs right now that I'd recommend, but I have some information once the market recovers on getting into Airbnbs and corporate landlording if you want to check with me. Theodore Bernard says, if I have a 20-year loan, can you depreciate your rental property at the same rate? The loan has nothing to do with the depreciation schedule. You can depreciate residential property at 27.5-year schedule, commercial properties 38 years schedule, and mobile home parks at least are a 15-year schedule. Self-storage, like other commercial properties, 38 years. But on all these, you can take a cost segregation study and bring a lot of that depreciation into 15, 5, 1 year even, okay? So don't let it stretch out over 27.5 years. Stretch it out over 1 year, because the December 23rd, 2017 Tax and Jobs Act allowed us to do that, as long as you have a cost segregation study. Get a great CPA if you don't know what I'm talking about, or look up cost segregation study online. You all should consider it if you own rental property. Soren Stelika, welcome. Do you think the rent will go up in the near future? I like to be an optimist. I like to be glass half full, but I'm going to be glass half empty on that. Sorry, I don't think so. DNK Serious, any recommendations on a website to invest in stocks? So I would check out the Real Estate Crowdfunding Review. My friend Ian Ippolito put that together. Ian recommends certain ETFs he invests in and REITs and things like that. So Matt Fox says, hey, Matt, how are you? Awesome info on depreciation. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for saying that. Alex H says, yes, in general, if you can sort out your mortgage, it's a great time. Anyway, if you can get a good deal, unless we'll see if price drops. Okay, so like yesterday, one of my partners buying mobile home parks said he got a call from a guy who said, my wife's driving me crazy. She's going crazy. She's been wanting to retire for a long time, and now she said that she is so stressed out. I just got to sell this mobile home park. Well, he's probably going to take a lower price than he would 2 months ago. He's probably ready to make a deal. And I'm not talking about mobile home parks here, my friends. I'm talking about real estate in general. Look at stocks. I mean, they dropped like over 30%. They've been going up again, down again. But why do they drop? Because people want out. Well, if people want out of stocks on a daily basis, they're going to want out of real estate on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. I'm not being clear, but you get my point. If stocks go up and down daily, real estate does not, but over time it will. And if we go into a recession, which is, who would doubt that we are going to, it is going to be again, I'm sorry for all the people hurt. I'm sorry for the bankruptcies. I'm sorry for the foreclosures. I can't change that. All I can tell you is it's going to be the buying opportunity of all time for some of you. And I can't tell you, in answer to your question earlier, I think it was Sandra, what's the best niche to get into? But check out wholesaling lease options. Check out lease option sandwiches. We can learn more about that from Chris Prefontaine. He's an author here on Bigger Pockets. He's got some great training material on lease option sandwiches, and Joe McCall's wholesaling lease options. They're both Bigger Pockets writers. What are your thoughts on wholesaling? I've heard it's a guru trap. Yeah, it is. I'm 17. Hats off, man. Or lady, RI. I'm sorry, I can't see your picture. I'm 17 from San Diego and not sure what strategies should be best for me to start. Wholesale, if you've got more time on your hands than you have money, wholesaling is a great option. Check out wholesaling, but don't be trapped by gurus. Bigger Pockets exists because we think you can get the information you need without going to a guru, without paying top dollar, without going to weekend seminars where they suck you into spending tens of thousands of dollars. We can learn from each other. And there's no better place to learn than from Bigger Pockets, and there's no better way to learn than by becoming a Bigger Pockets Pro or Bigger Pockets Premium member. I highly recommend it. It was one of the very best, if not the best decision I've made in 30 years in business. And so highly recommend that. I can't believe I get to do this. Thank you, Zach Gwynn, our producer. Thank you, Brandon Turner. Thank you, all the folks who lead the Bigger Pockets charge. We appreciate you, Katie. We appreciate you, all the different people, Allison, and everybody else who are working from home in Denver during this time. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here. It's 8:24 Eastern, 5:24 Pacific. And I'm going to go into a very, very fast-paced lightning round where I'm going to answer everything I can as quickly as I can. Thank you so much, Kevin Cruz. That's very kind of you. Give us a thumbs up or like or share. Do you have a wholesaling reliable mentor to learn from? I'm in Georgia but willing to travel. Yeah, Premier Entrepreneur. Check out Chris Prefontaine. He's got a whole course with lots of different strategies. You guys also might want to check out Chad Corbett. Just Google probate real estate leads and then Google Chad Corbett. Some of the best, smartest information in the world. He charges like some ridiculously low price to do a monthly seminar. Chad and I were together at the Bigger Pockets conference in Nashville, Tennessee, October 6th through 8th last year. And Chad Corbett is all over Bigger Pockets. But you should Google that to find out his training course. That was a really long answer. I said it'd be short. Okay, I want to be clear. If I haven't got to your question yet, it's long gone. It's scrolled up, my friends. So copy and paste it in. I'll try to knock out all I can in 5 minutes. Mary Jane says, I have a free and clear property. How do I get the money from that property so I may invest in another? Go to the smallest bank or local credit union you can find, Mary Jane. By the way, welcome. And go apply for the largest home equity line of credit you can possibly get. That's also called a HELOC. Okay? Thanks, Curtis. That's very kind of you. Josh Modeste says, what would be a good time for teachers to buy property? Multifamily in New York City. It's going to be really hard to afford any multifamily in New York, even now, even in the depth of a recession. Did I say reception? Can you rewind that, Zach? Anyway, it's going to be very hard to afford anything in New York. However, if you're ready to buy turnkey somewhere else, we've got people on here who do turnkey, and you could find that, or you could buy out of state. And you might want to consider crossing the border into some less places like Vermont, other parts of Connecticut, other parts of Massachusetts, places that are not far from New York that are going to have lower prices. Ian McCullough says, cash out refi, yes. Jay Cheetah says, will appreciate neighborhoods see drop in average price. Yeah, Jay, they're going to. They're going to. Some banks won't do a HELOC on a rental, Ian says. Ian, you're right. You're absolutely right, but some will. And that's why I said go to the smallest bank or credit union you can possibly find. Dress nice, walk in there, make a relationship with them. That's what you need to do. It works. Trust me, my son's done it. I've done it. My friends have done it. They absolutely will. But I know that a lot of them won't. I own a property management company in New Jersey, says Solomon Carter. What else should I look at besides wholesaling lease options? Check out Chris Prefontaine. He's got about 10 different low money down strategies. That's Prefontaine. Check out his articles on Bigger Pockets. That's probably the best thing I could tell you in the time I have. I used to say Airbnb, corporate housing up to 2 weeks ago, but it is crashing down right now. I'm so sorry to say for my friends in the business. And the 15-year refinance, who would recommend I keep the 30-year? I would keep the 30 right now with all the uncertainty out there. If you want to do turnkey, please private message Curtis Bennett. He's on the Facebook side here. I'll have a property available shortly that's being finished on the turnkey side. I thought it said turkey side. Oh, I need my glasses. Erica says, is this a good time to buy land and build a home? Primary residence. Erica, I've got a friend who just moved here from Wuhan, China. Seriously. And he is trying to build a home, and all of that has come to a halt. So I would wait a little bit, Erica. I missed some questions even after I said I'd catch them. Justin says, I live in New York City and want to start real estate investing now. I have around $40,000. That's great to play with. I want to know, if you were me, what would you do? Justin, I would try to get into some wholesaling lease options, which you can do without your $40,000. I would also consider a turnkey rental if somebody's super trustworthy, like my friend Curtis Bennett in Indiana. Curtis says he will actually manage the property. Matt Fox says, thanks. Hey, good to see you as well. See the Truth says, Sprout Mortgage in California lender lending to rental properties. Mary Jane. Okay, Mary Jane, did you hear that? Sprout Mortgage Company. Someone says, get a HELOC. I agree. Is this a good time to... Oh, yeah, so I already answered that. I don't think it's a good time to do a primary residence. Builders have been at an all-time record pace. Let them slow down a little bit if they are going to slow down, and then do it. I would wait. I mean, my son has a bunch of land for sale in Southwest Virginia, and it's selling. It's selling faster than I ever thought it would. But my point is, land's going to come down in price before it goes up. I can't guarantee that, but I think so. Oliver Eduardo says, can you repeat that one again, please? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to repeat. I'm so sorry. Sprout Mortgage in California, they do financing for rental properties, is all I know. What about TLT stock? What? I don't know about that. I'm so sorry. RY says, do you know any trustworthy real estate investors from San Diego? Yeah, there's a big group of the Green Brothers. I think it's the Green Brothers. They're wonderful real estate investors in San Diego. Look them up on meetup.com, okay? See the Truth says they lend in most states. You're in Georgia. That's great. Is it frozen for everyone? Uh-oh. No, it's not. What can you do here in New York City with $40,000? So 2 people have asked me that. 2 separate people. Oh, what would you do? Okay, I got you, Oliver. I would wholesale lease options. I would go to Chris Prefontaine. He is a wonderful writer on Bigger Pockets, and he will give you tons of ideas. Jay, thank you. Appreciate you saying that. Henry Lang says, do you use the HELOC to purchase another property? Yes. Be ready to purchase multiple properties. Or do most use it to BRRRR? It's not a dumb question. You can use it to BRRRR as well. That's totally cool. Sean Murphy says, I'm an apartment investor in San Diego. Okay, so Sean Murphy, that's Sean. Someone was looking for someone in San Diego. Rye, look up Sean, Sean Murphy. Thanks, Sean. Okay, so someone says, I just joined. Don't know if you answered this already. How should we deal with tenants leaving properties during this time and the turnover rate? Gene, the best thing I can do is befriend them. Don't be adversarial. Don't be a schmuck. Don't end up on the front of the newspaper. Don't end up on it some Google review or some review for being a schmuck. Do everything in your power to be kind, to love them. There's so many stories out there. Watch Schindler's List. I can't recommend all of it, but watch Schindler's List, where the way he treated the Jews during the Second World War, and then think, how can I go and do likewise? Because that's what you're commanded to do. You're commanded to love your neighbor and go and do likewise. So with that thought, I'm going to have to wrap it up. I'm already 2.5 minutes past my allotted time. I hope I don't get fired by Bigger Pockets. I do hope you will join me again. This has been such an honor to be here with you during this really, really difficult time. I'm going to ask Bigger Pockets if they'll let me do another one. If you think I should do another one, please give me a thumbs up, a like, or a share. And Bigger Pockets will know, because they monitor this, that this was worthwhile. And so, Ashik Islam, thank you for joining again, my friend. I will try to answer you after I'm done. Thank you, everybody. I can't believe I get to do this. I can't believe that I get to be with people like you, Sandra, Zemor, and Apollo, and other people. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time here on Bigger Pockets Live. I am using new software that I forgot to learn how to turn off. So we'll figure it out in a minute. Anyway, thank you. Take care, and we will talk